Hello and welcome to UK Horror Scene. I'm Tony. This is the crew. Yeah, there's no comment on the left there. Yeah, it's very interesting. Anyway, we are at the Everyman Cinema in Muswell, North London, UK. It's a fantastic venue. We've got the Weberettes playing behind us, and we are hanging with a very talented man who wears many, many hats. He's a director, a producer, an editor, a writer. He pretty much covers everything when it comes to filmmaking. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, creatures of the day and night, please welcome Mr. James Webber. Right, James, thanks very much for coming along.
That's all right.
Right, into our beautiful place. Yeah.
Stunning.
I know, they're doing some works in the back there as well. You can't see it, but even that's quite cool, isn't it, around there?
Yeah, it kind of feels like a horror film set.
Yeah, well, there you go. You know, if you speak to Ivan, if you need
there we go.
if you need location. Right, we won't talk about the cinema. I mean, lovely as it is, we won't talk too much about that. We'll start with, let's go through your films, because you're a man who wears many hats.
Yeah.
In the film trade. I mean, like, what would you consider yourself mainly, actually?
Filmmaker? That's kind of just general.
Yeah, because you direct, produce, write,
edit? I do edit, yeah. I'm more of a director than anything. I enjoy writing sometimes. Yeah. When it goes well, I love it. Sometimes it can be like pulling teeth, but and I do produce, but I'd rather not.
Yeah.
Editing is a passion of mine, and you know that's probably do more editing than anything else. You know, it's sort of a day job. But writer, director, editor, filmmaker, it's just easier, isn't it? Just
bit of everything.
Yeah, just
bit
sum
of
it
everything.
Up.
Pulling teeth, you said. Let's talk about Hushy Bye, because it was just we
Oh,
were talking
God.
about this earlier. Hushy Bye, which is a short that is online now. We'll put the link in the little box. You released that straight online, didn't you? Hushy Bye. Tell us about that.
So yeah, I wanted to make a horror film which was short and sweet and just something that, you know, not worry about festivals, just make it and share it straight away with an audience, which you know I kind of used to do many years ago before I got caught up in doing festivals and things like that. And I don't know, it was just a bit of fun and no pressure really to get in festival screenings. So a friend of mine, Mark Brennan, really good screenwriter, I just asked him for, if you've got any really short ideas, you know, something that won't cost a lot of money, you know, that we can just make in a single night, something really visual, no talking, you know, have a bit of fun. And he went, let me think about it. And the next morning, like really early in the morning, this script was waiting for me. And I think because he's a new father, was at that point, I think basically life had imitated art. And he'd written this story whilst he was trying to, you know, feed his daughter or calm her down in the middle of the night. And he wrote this story about a man who wakes up in the middle of the night, his wife's not there with him, baby's crying, and picks up the baby, goes to look for his wife. It's a bit strange, you know, that she's disappeared. And to say too much more would spoil the film, but yeah, it's only 3 minutes long and very stylistic, and yeah, it was good fun. Tough shoot. Yeah,
which is the pulling the teeth thing.
Why
was it a tough shoot, James?
Well, funny you should ask that question. Yeah, I had the worst toothache I've ever had in my entire life. Like half of the shoot was fine, and then around midnight, this pain, I've never had anything like it. And when you're trying to move quickly and all the setups were quite complicated, we had lighting up the side of the building, and we had a lot of, you know, I like my amount of shots and, you know, really working on the clock. It's so difficult to think when you've effectively got an iron, like searing pain, kind of just unrelenting. And we were shooting in my mother-in-law's house. It sounds terrible, but they were away, and she takes medicine because she's got quite bad arthritis in her hands. I was like, it's like painkillers. I'm just going to start taking some of her stuff. Don't know what it was. just brightly coloured pills. It was so painful. I can't think. Started taking these pills, didn't work. You know, I was trying to drink, wash my mouth out with whiskey, and it's bad because I felt, when you're on set, that's the buzz. When you're making a film and, with great crew and great actors, that's the thing that, other than maybe seeing your finished film with an audience, that's the thing that I feed off of. I was like, timing, really. But now I know I can at least function as a director under those conditions. It wasn't fun.
No,
it wasn't fun. I didn't tell anyone.
Awful,
I didn't tell anyone initially, but then I was like, I'm sort of being a bit sort of to the point. I should start saying, because I don't want people to think I'm being grumpy because it's difficult to be, sort of bouncy.
Did it help the film though, do you think?
Maybe.
Maybe put the pain
yeah,
through.
if you sort of can watch it and feel if we were making like a film about a crazy dentist or something, maybe that would have been better. I don't know. I'll have to ask the viewers, I guess.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed Hush Your Boy actually. I thought it's a nice story, and it is very stylistic.
Yeah.
And it's very short. Yeah, I mean it works really nicely actually. So, do you think? I mean, because you're cross genre really. I mean, like, again, we talked about this earlier before we started filming. You pretty much cover everything.
Yeah.
So what brought you into film in the first place?
I don't know. I mean, it's just something I've always lived with, and it's been a big part of my life. I grew up in Dorset. I was an only child, middle of nowhere. Not too many other kids who lived locally, so I think I should just watch a lot of films. I would religiously watch a lot of the same films over and over, and being like a child of the 80s, Star Wars, Ghostbusters, The Goonies, Back to the Future. I had them on tape, just wear them out, get it again. And I think
we had a really good grounding in the 80s, didn't we? We had some great films.
It's good film education, and I think that's really where it came from. I've always had quite an overactive imagination, and film allows me to funnel it.
Yeah, and you worked in a video shop when you were younger.
Yeah, that's what a cliche.
I know. Well, we were talking about
3 years of Blockbuster Video. Yeah.
Yeah, I worked in a video shop as well. I loved it. It was a great experience.
Yeah, I always say, because I studied film at Bournemouth, but I think my 3 years in Blockbusters was probably arguably more of a film education, because it just opened my eyes to world cinema as well, and they had all the big blockbusters, but then you get these occasional single DVD that they just put in the corner that no one will probably rent, and it introduced me to just really great films that I never would have seen. I enjoyed it. I thought it was it's kind of sad that that's gone now, and that film lovers now, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Netflix, but scrolling through films that doesn't quite have that same quality as going into a video shop and seeing, and also the worry of it not be, the film that you want to go and get might not actually be available. The stress of that, like, it's never going to happen now, like on iTunes.
And then ending up, what do I get? And getting recommendations from somebody. Saying,
going off of just the artwork, and sometimes being really annoyed because the artwork's much better than the film, or sometimes the artwork's not as good as the film, and having that surprise, it's great. Yeah,
and I used to love that, and people coming in asking your advice about a movie. A good one. I remember I watched the entire Friday the 13th series, like in however, I think it was about eight episodes, but I watched them night after night. I was just taking one home and watching a new one,
Yeah, it was great.
I used to love it. And then you get like, because you had video stars, didn't you? Like Van Damme and Steven Seagal were the action ones, and they were breaking through. I remember all of them. And then horror just was so thriving on that as well through the video market. So we had all our video nasties, and which obviously we didn't.
Fair few of them in the store.
Quite a few. I'll go back as well. So I'm just jumping through. So you've got like loads and loads of stuff. There was another one of your shorts that I liked. I wanted to pick up on. Just randomly throwing in there, The Prey, which you wrote that as well, didn't you?
Yeah. So I basically got I don't want to say stuck, because that sounds negative, but I was making a lot of drama, like really serious. Some would say depressing. I think it's life affirming, but some would say depressing drama. And after a while, I was like, you know what, I just want to do something completely and utterly different. So the idea of just sort of making effectively, I don't know, like an American werewolf in Hounslow, I guess is, you know.
Great film.
Yeah, and it was quite cathartic just to do something completely different and prosthetic effects and something that doesn't take itself very seriously.
Yeah, no, it's a nice little film. I quite enjoyed that one.
Yeah,
it's a nice little film. You had a good cast on that as well.
Yeah, it was some people that I'd worked with before, and an actress, Rebecca Van Cleve, who I'd known for a while, but you know, we hadn't worked together, and it was just really, really good fun. Hard work, once again, you know, another really difficult night shoot. You know, never shoot in near Hounslow High Street. You know, that's, I think the moral of this story is, yeah, it was a challenge, you know, raining off and on and trying to match shots, and prosthetics as well take, you know, a long time to apply. We also had like a bust of our lead actress, which was effectively like a giant puppet, where you know, the bone structure moved underneath, and it's bad. Like the amazing guy worked on it, Mark Greensmith, and for like a month. And he put so much love and hard work into this thing. I think it's in the film for about 3 seconds. And I just felt so guilty, and I showed it to him, sort of waiting for him to be really annoyed. And it was only in the film, he was like, oh yeah, it works really well. So, thank God. And I realised he's probably used to that, doing that for a living. So. Yeah.
Was that an expensive short then? Because obviously a lot of work went into it.
Yeah, I think it was more expensive than maybe I originally intended. Yeah, I remember meeting the special effects guys, and we were talking about it being quite sparse, the effects, and then I really like The Thing, and I really like American Werewolf in London, and we got talking about that, and everything skyrocketed and became physical, and there's a bit of CG in there, but it's mostly practical effects, and you know, cost, the cost started to go up then, but you know, once I sort of had that, I was like, I didn't really want to settle for anything less.
It's hard to say, it's hard to talk about it, especially in shorts. It's hard to talk about them because you don't want to say too much. Go and watch these short films.
Yes.
And you don't want to ruin it, because especially like something like Hushabye, which is 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And Prey, what's that, about 10? Is it?
Yeah, it's 8-ish minutes, but it was fun. Like when the shoot was over, and going to festivals as well, because they're different festivals than the kind of festivals. I mean, I go to Fright Fest and a lot of genre, but I'd never really had a film I'd directed there. Yeah, and it was just a good experience. I'd say it was probably better received in America than probably the UK. I think the UK is maybe more drawn to more serious, whilst in the States they really like humour, and that got some really good screenings, and we ended up getting signed by Crypt TV. And Eli Roth saying really great things about the film, because he owns one of the owners of Crypt. And that was just really weird. Well, you watched it, you know, that's kind of strange, like my weird Hounslow shot. You know,
but I can see that film going over really well, because it's got a nice vibe about it. It's got a nice original vibe about it, but it's also quite commercial. I mean, I'm not saying that you went out, because again, we've talked, and I know that you just go out to make the films that you feel you want to see yourself. So you don't look at demographics. But it did feel like a nicely commercial type film. Yeah,
it's just, I just didn't really want it to be taken particularly seriously. Well, you know, you say that, you don't want people to be like, oh, well.
You don't want anyone to hate it, do
yeah,
you?
But you know, it's a fun kind of, you know, it's not meant to be taken, you know, like some of the dramatic stuff I did a film called Driftwood, and that's quite festival friendly, and it's quite serious. And then I did a film called Soror, which is, I made it for me, and some people will like it and some people won't. And that's fine, and I knew that going in, and I sort of had to, you know, sort of have that artistic experience of trying and experimenting, because that's the great thing about shorts, regardless of the genre, whether it's drama, horror, comedy, you can experiment and you can find your style, and you can try all kinds of things. You don't have the pressure that you would have if you were doing a feature film. So if you're not prepared to take risks in a short, then it's
it's a good training. It's a very good training
definitely.
ground. Getting things right. You do actually get quite. Wally the werewolf just telling us he's a bit hungry, needs to be fed.
Oh,
Sorry about that. He's all right. He's all right. Just throw him a ball or something.
Very
he's
weird. Very strange.
Lovely fellow though. Once you get to know him.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. What were we talking about? Yeah. So it's a good breeding ground, but you always get good casts in your film. I mean, like you mentioned Driftwood there. Was it Neil Maskell you had in that?
Yeah, Neil Maskell.
And how did that come about with Neil Maskell?
I mean, I'd love to sort of say an amazing story, like I used to, know someone who knew him, or we used to see each other in the same fish and chip shop.
Yeah.
To be honest, we just contacted his agent and said, would he like to do this film? And we'll give him some money. And he said yes.
Oh,
and that really is as exciting as that.
And I'm guessing the same came about with Prey, because you had some good actors, name actors in that as well.
We're friends, so I knew them already. So that wasn't too bad. I knew Sam Gittins, who's in my short film Driftwood, and that was like his first credit on because I gave him his first IMDb credit. Basically, he has to work with me for free for the rest of his life.
Yeah, that's fair.
That is a joke. He does get paid a bit, but he's gone on to do Ripper Street, and he was in Howl and Sky One series, The Smoke. That he was the villain in that.
So he's done all right, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's done really well. He's become good friends, and he's a top guy. So, I was like, do you want to come along and just do something a little bit sort of silly and play a different character than what you do usually? And he was up for that. And James Alexander, who's in it as well, who's probably most recognisable for doing EastEnders for about 10 years, as Morton Fowler. Don't say that to him. Don't do that voice, because he's trying to move on with his life. But he's brilliant, top guy, and he came along. I'd worked with him on Soror, which was the film I did previous. He had a small role in that, and it was just fun to sort of dress him up as a really crappy Dracula and have him drive around and have an argument.
So what you mean is you were friends, but they really, really liked the script, and that's why they wanted to make it.
Yeah, but that's the main reason.
That's the main reason, completely. By the way, if there's any background noise, it's because James has brought his band along, the Weberettes.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
They're doing a gig downstairs.
Yeah.
So you might hear some music. That's the Weberettes.
Probably wasn't one of the best decisions.
No, it wasn't. I was a little bit dubious of it, but you seem consistent. They're basically there. They're doing lots of gigs at the moment. Look out for them, the Weberettes. Guys, have you got any questions, Antoine?
In terms of visual, how important was it for nice image and nice lighting for your movies?
It's hugely important, but I mean it's completely to do with the story and script. It's that comes first, and the images service that, rather than just create good-looking images at the expense of the story. I mean, it's quite tied for me. Certainly when I write, it's a visual process. I'll write it and see the images at the same time. So it's difficult to sort of separate that in many ways. But I mean, I like to sort of push things, and it's not for me to say whether I've got a style, but there's certain things I like, and I'd probably do time and time again. Yeah, but it is really important.
Thank you very much.
Ivan?
Mr. Mirabille, 5 years in a row. Hashtag #IvanTroopa. Was just wondering, look, it's a long story. Was just wondering, I have 2 questions for you actually. First of all, what movie would you like to remake? Whether it's independent or obviously a fan favourite.
God, I don't really want to remake anything. I know that sounds really... That's a really tough question. I've never thought about it.
The Room.
Yeah, The Room. Yeah. Make a even worse version of The Room somehow. That would be great. Yeah.
The second one, then, I don't know. I think
Hopefully, I'll answer this one.
To be honest, you've already answered it. My next one was going to be, what franchise would you like to get your hands on? So, what franchise out there would you say, I wouldn't mind making a part 2 to that, or just a reimagining?
Oh man, well, I grew up loving Star Wars. I mean, who wouldn't want to make a Star Wars film?
Star Trek.
Whatever. I quite like Star Trek too, but I'm sorry, it's all about Star Wars. I don't know. I mean, once again, I'm always sort of thinking about my own ideas, and like if someone turned around and said, "Do you want to make like an alien film or something like that?" Hell yeah!
I think
well,
Ridley's
as
just
long
not letting
as-
go of that at the moment, though, is it?
Yeah,
Ridley Scott?
something tells me that probably wouldn't happen. But you know, if it was a good script, and yeah, hell yeah. I can't really see it happening. I mean,
You never know.
I mean, I'm so sort of focused on, you know, the scripts I've sort of written, and the idea of just sort of going on to something else or something huge. I mean, it's not quite there in my career, so I haven't really considered it.
Well, I mean, the Star Wars films, they're taking gambles on directors, aren't they, with the
Yeah.
franchise? I mean, the
just-
new one was directed, was it? I can't remember the guy's name, but he didn't have a massive.
It just seems like if you make a pretty successful indie film, then all of a sudden you get this pass on to blockbusters,
Yeah.
which seems to be a real trend at the moment. But you know, I'm working on the indie film first,
Yeah,
so
yeah, that would be the
you know,
thing.
let's do that,
Yeah.
and then take it from there.
Happy with that one? What about you, Ivan? If you were going to reinvigorate a franchise or write a sequel?
RoboCop. Thinking about making a TV movie. Maybe changing all the cuss words and the violence.
Oh yeah. Well, I'd definitely watch that. I love. I think you may be referring to a post I did on Facebook about the ITV version of
I saw
RoboCop,
that, yeah,
which I'm a huge fan of, even though it's effectively ruining the film, removing violence, any kind of swearing. I think it's probably one of the most hilarious things
They
I've
did
ever
make a
seen.
TV series out of that, didn't they, years and years ago?
Yeah, I never
which was
saw it.
Awful.
Yeah.
I think they might have done 2 of them, but it was awful. And even, let's face it, RoboCop, the first one was it. I didn't like anything after that, really.
Yeah, I watched the others, but I don't really remember them.
No, well, there you go. That says everything,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Happy with that? Yep. Cool. All right. Features. You mentioned features.
Yes.
That's your next project, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm in pre-production at the moment on my first feature. So
And I know you don't want to say too much about it.
Yeah,
But how's it going?
it's going well. You know, we've got some of the cast in place, some of the money. Need a bit more money, but my producer keeps saying we're this close, we're this close, and she does this thing with her hands, which I think is an industry term for like being really close
yeah.
to, you know. And she's made quite a few features, so I've got to trust her hand signals that we are this close. But it's a real passion project. It's called Solitude Country. It's I guess you could call it a post-apocalyptic thriller. I wrote the first draft like in 2007, so you know it's been a long process. You know, I put it in a drawer and then dug it out a couple of years later, changed some things, and I think back when I'd written the script, I was had different tastes. I think I'd probably grown up quite a bit with the things I like, and my own experiences making other films as well has been a really big influence on the script. So I think it's become a bit kind of richer as a result. So it's out there, and
It's in the process.
Yeah.
Has the script changed greatly from the original 10 years? That's 10 years now, James. When you were
it
obviously
hasn't-
15, you started writing that
well,
one.
of course,
Yeah.
definitely. It's changed a bit. Yeah, it wasn't. I think it was more of a horror film to begin with, but it's become a little bit more intimate and emotional. I'm not saying that horror can't be those things, but it's certainly I could have played on the post-apocalyptic angle. But actually, even though it's set in that world, it's not really about that. It's about these characters who have lost a lot of their humanity, and about them banding together and trying to survive. And yeah, it's quite.
We talked about
tough
this before,
story.
and it's fascinating because it does sound like it covers a lot of ground with genre-wise, which is very much in keeping with all the shorts that you've done, because you've covered dramas, you've covered thrillers, you've covered horrors, sci-fi. So you've done pretty much everything, and this sounds like it just covers. It's like all that training ground. It's all there. Everything that you enjoy about film, character piece. You know, like it's very character. You like your characters. So it does. We're looking forward to that one.
Definitely, there has been a plan with the short films I've made over the last few years of building towards doing this.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I've cast a few people that I would want to be in the feature as sort of a way of, you know, getting to know them maybe and having them there. And we've got such exciting like cast in place. Not everyone, but yeah, I just can't wait to sort of get everyone together and make the team. And a lot of the people working on the film are similar people that work with me on a lot of my shorts, like director of photography Lorenzo Lavrini, who I've worked with for a couple of years now, and we work very well together, and he's on it, and you know, the person who does all of my sound design, and yeah, and it's great because I think finding a team you can work with is so important, and it took me a while to get to that point, I think, to find people I can really collaborate with, and yeah, and it's just great because you know and trust each other. Me and Lorenzo, it's very easy for us to work because we've done so much now. I mean, he's shot everything from, you know, Soror and the Prey and Hushibai and a bunch of other stuff that we've done together, a bit of comedy. He puts up with me, which is no easy feat.
Especially when you've got toothache.
Yeah, oh God, yeah. He really did. And it just means we can sort of communicate in a very quick, simple way, and he knows what I like. And,
yeah. But that's nice when you've got that working relationship, because you don't really need to kind of convey what you want, because they already get a feel of what you're
that
looking for.
relationship between a director and a director of photography is
massive. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hugely important. Yeah.
I mean, like that was pretty much on to my next question, which was like obviously, because of the shorts you've done, now you know who you like to work with crew-wise, because it makes life easier.
Yeah.
When you write, do you write with certain actors in mind?
Yeah.
Which you kind of touched on anyway.
I do, yeah. When I did Driftwood, we did a bit of we did like auditions, but after that, I'd written a role for, you know, with Muswell in mind, and he luckily, you know, was up for it. After that, I stopped doing auditions. I basically wrote for actors I knew, or actors that I knew but hadn't worked with, or actors I would love to work with. So when we did Soror, I sort of these four main characters I had written for Rosie Day, who was in the Seasoning House, who I didn't know, Sean Bracken, who was in like Tyrannosaur and Startup and Donkey Punch, and James Alexandru, who I did know a little bit. We'd sort of met on the festival circuit, because he's a really good director as well. Okay. And Kate Dickey, who is, you know, I make no bones about this, she's one of my favourite British actresses. She's someone I saw a film she made, Andrew Arnold's first film, Red Road, and she's the lead in that, and she won a BAFTA, and she's one of the most phenomenally amazing performers, I think. She's in Game of Thrones, so that's what she's probably known for the most, I would say. But yeah, and we got every single one of them. I was like, this is crazy, especially with Rosie Day. I mean, that was insane. We were about to approach Rosie, and I got a direct message on Twitter from her saying, oh, I'd seen your film Driftwood, and if you ever need like a young actress, you know, please bear me in mind. And I was like, what? We didn't know each other. It was just really strange. Providence. I was like, oh, well, there might be a film, but you know, trying to play a bit cool. Yeah, so it was a really good experience, and then yeah, all my films I've just been lucky to know a lot of actors and network with a lot of people, and I think you've got to be a bit ambitious with your casting. A lot of people say, how did you get that person, or how did you get this person? Just ask. I think the kind of actors we've always gone for, people like Neil Maskell and Kate Dickey, they want to be challenged. If you've ever seen Kate in any of her films, she doesn't do just normal roles. I mean, you've seen The Witch. Have you seen The Witch?
I haven't seen The Witch. Bad on
it's
me.
A bit of a Marmite film. You either love it or hate it. I loved it. I thought it was brilliant. You know, I think she breastfeeds a raven or something in that. In Game of Thrones, she breastfeeds a 9-year-old. I think she was happy to do Soror because she didn't have to breastfeed anything on camera for the
Change.
first time. Yeah, just ask them. They want to be challenged. You know, I'm quite passionate about paying people. Sometimes we can't pay much, but it's something. And you know, on Soror everyone's on equity minimum for short films, which isn't much. So it's got to be the film, you know, that interests them. And she came down from Glasgow and you know, spent a few nights in a travel lodge, glamour in Hounslow. And yeah, and she was an absolute joy to work with, and just that experience helps me as a director, working with someone of that caliber who's been directed by Ridley Scott, who's been directed by Andrew Arnold, some of my favourite British directors, sort of learn from that process of, you know, because you surround yourself with these good people, it helps you develop as you know, as a director or as a filmmaker. Yeah, and then the experience of making Soror was just phenomenal. You know, better than any kind of film school. You know, instead of, you know, all that money spent on courses and just make your own short film.
Yeah, but in the main, they're getting to work with you, James. I mean, like,
well,
it's a
you know,
big,
I didn't want to say.
It's a big thing for them. It's a
I'm
massive thing to them. I mean, come on.
They can all retire now,
Yeah.
happy, because
Well-
they've made a short film in Hounslow.
But
with
it's the
me.
quality of the short films, and I think, you know, I mean, there's a lot of short films out there that aren't great, but there's a few that are really, really class. When you get a good short film, it's fantastic because it has such a short amount of time to tell a story. And,
It's a challenge,
and
yeah.
you know how hard it is to get that film made. I mean, like, it's hard to get any film made if you want to make it good, because you need, you know, especially with short, you need a good cast, you need a good crew. Everybody needs to be knowing what they're doing because you want to get it done quickly. Like with Hushy by in the Night, even with a burning jaw of agony. There's so much more we could talk about, but I think we're running out of time. How are we doing? We're running short of time. They're telling me over there. We've got to wrap up. We're going to go downstairs now, and James is going to sing with the Rebberettes.
Yeah.
I don't know what your playlist is. I don't know what you've got.
You'll find out.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. Ivan's asked if he can play cymbals, and Antoine's going to take pictures.
Or wood blocks.
Or wood blocks. Oh, wood blocks. There you go. There you go. We'll put Antoine on the wood blocks. There we sorted. Right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. There's so much more we could talk about, James, but thank you so much for coming along. James Webber, look out for his stuff, please. And check us out, check him out, check everybody out. Love you very much. Bye-bye. Woo!
Thank you. Thank you. Good.